and welcome to the 21st video of the Ælis tutorial series. As announced, today we will go more in-depth about the topics discussed 20 videos ago, which spoke, in this case, about the alphabet and the writing. I don't know whether I'll actually keep this throwback style up for the 20 next videos, but we'll start here and see how it goes. So, on screen you see the word lis-gai-eg, which means concept of instance of language. Gai-eg, instance of language, means as much as speech unit, and lis, concept, can also be understood to mean paradigm or inventory. Therefore, lis-gai-eg is the Ælis word for alphabet. Within the alphabet, we can choose to focus on the gai-egen, which means component of vision language, or gai-eger, which means component of sound language. In other words, gai-egen means grapheme or letter, gai-eger means phoneme or sound component. If we prefix the root lis again, we'll designate the entire inventory rather than one component. So, lis-gai-egen, the written alphabet, lis-gai-eger, the sound inventory. Within the written alphabet, there are two subtypes specific to Ælis, the first of which is the lis-gai-egen ra-aika, or the first class inventory of letters, which we previously called the primary case letters, and the lis-gai-egen ra-eka, the second class of inventory of letters, which we called the secondary case letters. Now, every one of us has a different handwriting. Some people write with curvy shapes and long strokes, others tend to write with shorter strokes and have an edgy writing style. Therefore, a first part of this video will go more in-depth about the design of each letter, highlighting one or more specific traits that can be used, both in reading and writing, to determine what defines each individual letter of the alphabet, even if one's personal writing style uses longer or shorter strokes, wider or more narrow curves, etc. The first letter is A, or aye. Aye is Ælis' name for the letter when spelling a word. On the left, we see aye ra-aika, the primary case letter, and on the right we see aye ra-eka, the secondary case letter. What sets the letter aye apart is the little leg that is detached from the rest of the symbol. Also, in the secondary case, we see that the leg is separate. The second letter is aiwi, again in the primary and secondary case. In both cases, we see the sharp peak at the top left and then the curvy stroke down. Ewo is one of the letters that looks practically the same for the primary and secondary case, and in handwriting they'll look mostly just the same. Still, there is not really a problem, as you'll always be able to derive from the surrounding letters whether the ewo you're reading is a primary or secondary case variant. We will get back to this later. Iao is written with two separate lines. In both cases, you'll recognize the sharp tip pointing upwards and the second stroke running parallel to the first. Oaya is written as one rounded curve, where you must pay attention to the directions it runs in. To the right, then down, then an indentation, and then it runs outwards again. In the secondary case as well, right, down, left. Uei is the last of the vowels, which is very recognizable due to the fact that it has three separate strokes, both in the primary and the secondary case. Ummo is pretty straightforward. It runs to the top right, has a sharp tip, and then runs down. The next consonant, ine, can be recognized very easily through the full curl it makes in both variations of the letter. It is the only letter to make a curl like this. Aila is a bit trickier, as it is the second letter where the primary and secondary case look practically the same. The slight difference will disappear completely when writing Ælis by hand. Also here, you'll be able to detect whether you're dealing with a primary or secondary case variant by the letters that surround it. The letter Aila distinguishes itself by the curls at both ends, clockwise on top, counterclockwise at the bottom. The letter Aka, alongside its voiced counterpart Aigu, have one very peculiar trait. The primary and secondary case variant do not share a common number of strokes or stroke directions. The primary case variant goes up, then down, then up again. while the secondary case letter has one stroke to the right and then a new downward stroke that crosses it. Etai, alongside its voiced counterpart ido, has the characteristical feature that it has 4 stroke directions. You start at the bottom left, then up, and down again. This feature repeats itself in the secondary case. Start at the bottom left, then up, and down again. The letter ore and its voiced counterpart uhi look like the Latin letter C. The small dash that hovers over it is also present in the secondary case. The next letter, asi, and its voiced version, aise, also look like the Latin letter C, but there is a difference with the previous letter. Not only does the letter reach up a lot higher in the primary case, and the extra dash is missing, but also there is a small dent right before the end of the stroke. This dent is found again in the secondary case as well. Epo, alongside its voiced sibling ibai, consists of 2 separate strokes tilted upward. And finally, the letter ofu and the voiced variant uva have one nearly straight line running to the top right, and then a separate stroke which is nearly parallel running below it. Only does the second stroke move down again. So now, let's look at the alphabet again. We'll highlight some of the letters that might appear confusingly similar at first glance, and speak about how to tell them apart. First, let's look at the letters ewo and aila, which are both characterized by the fact that there is practically no difference between the primary and secondary case variants, and which both essentially consist of one vertical line. We established before that the letter aila has its signature curls at both ends of the letter, while ewo does not. This way, we can still tell them apart in clusters like el and le, or lel and elle. Next, let's have a look at the secondary case variants of ore and asi. In order to distinguish them from one another, ore must always carry the extra dash, which asi does not. Finally, let's get the second case variants of epo and ofu in close-up. Even with very sketchy handwriting, you'll be able to tell these 2 letters apart by the fact that for epo, it is the upper stroke that will run downwards, while for ofu, it is the bottom stroke that runs down. This covers the part about writing Ælis. The next topics I would like to discuss with you regard the pronunciation, specifically the emphasis and intonation within words and sentences. The amount of pronunciation rules that regard emphasis and intonation in Ælis have been reduced to a minimum. Unfortunately, some rules have had to be devised because, well, there wasn't really another way around it. So, to start, let's have a look at all of Ælis's 2-letter root words that have only vowels in them. First of all, we can free this grid up a bit by taking out all combinations that are considered impossible. There. The question now we want to focus on is the following. In these root words, which of both vowels will carry the emphasis of the syllable? The first root we will highlight is this one. We encountered this particle before, among others in video 19 of the series, where we called it the target particle. It is pronounced as yi or ji. The second root we'll highlight is this one. It is pronounced as wu, wu. Notice that these 2 particles are the only ones to have the same vowel in them twice. So, yi and wu. The next pairs we'll highlight are the remaining ones of the bottom row, where the emphasis must strictly fall on the first letter. Ua, uai, ue, ui, uo. The 7 highlighted vowel pairs are the only ones to have a predetermined stress on one particular vowel. For all the remaining combinations, you, as a speaker, are free to choose according to what sounds best to you or which you find easiest to pronounce. Ai, ai. Ao, ao. Au, au. Aia, aia. Aio, aio. Aiu, aiu. Ea, ea. Eai, eai. Ei, ei. Eo, eo. Eu, eu. Ia, ia. Iai, iai. Ie, ye. Io, yo. Iu, you. Oa, oa. Oai, oai. Oe, oe. Oi, oi. O, o. Right? Next, I would like to speak to you about root words with 3 letters in them. There are currently only 5 of these root words in existence, but as the Ælis language continues to grow, this list is bound to be expanded in the future. Root words with 3 letters in them will always have the emphasis on the letter in the middle. For the first word, lis, this is quite plausible as it contains only 1 vowel. But in the others, be sure to always place the stress on the first of the 2 vowels. We therefore say geo and not geo, deo and not deo, goe and not goe, doe and not doe. When we get to building bigger clusters with several root words in them, again, you as a speaker are free to place the emphasis where you think it sounds best, or where you might find it easiest to pronounce. Let's have a look at the following hypothetical word. You may pronounce it as amni or amni. This cluster may be pronounced as either enya, enia, or enya. And this cluster may be pronounced as either taiaita, 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 or taiaita. A final thing we ought to discuss in this video is the effect of the liska on emphasis. The liska are heavyweights in this area, as they will always carry emphasis. Per definition, it will have to be pronounced with more stress on it than both the following and preceding root. Therefore, we say Ælis and never Ælis. We say Ælis and never Ælis or Ælis. You will always have to say naora and never naura or naura. No, naora. And this one, never say anete or anete, but always anete. 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 If 2 or more liska become adjacent, which by now we know does in fact happen, then the emphasis will be placed in an ascending way, the last one being the most stressed. For example, this word, which means you and me, both male, is pronounced as aiete, not aiete. This word, which means northwest, is pronounced as anada ahora, not as anada ahora or anything else. Anada ahora. And this word, which means 1234, is pronounced accurately with the main stress on the last liska. Ai-e-i-oka. Ai-e-i-oka. To wrap this video up, let's see how all of this works in a bigger sentence. As an example sentence, well, we've used it so often, might as well use it again. There are 4 liska in this sentence, which means 4 obligatory points of emphasis in the sentence. Let's separate the words for clarity purposes. The first word may be pronounced either as iramdiira, 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 but not as iramdiira or iramdiira. The liska is blocking the last 2 root words from receiving any emphasis. So, iramdiira, iramdiira, or iramdiira. The second word may be pronounced as hanainaora, 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 but not as hanainaora or hanainaora. In the third word, there is no choice. The only adequate way to say it is la'aima. And in the last word, we may say either iawete or iawete, as long as the liska remains emphasized. Wowee, this video was not so much difficult as it was long and elaborate, so thank you for bearing with me. On the bright side, now you know pretty much, well, everything there is to know about writing and pronouncing Ælis, and in terms of comparisons to other languages, I hope the rule set is fairly okay. Either way, I hope you enjoyed, and I will speak to you again soon.